In the city of Boston, the Quantum Research Institute stood as a beacon of scientific advancement. Within its hallowed halls, two brilliant physicists, Dr. Ethan Blake and Dr. Lila Hayes, were working on a groundbreaking project, exploring the mysterious phenomena of quantum entanglement. Both were passionate about their work, but their lives outside the lab couldn't have been more different. Ethan was the quintessential academic, meticulous, logical, and somewhat reserved. He had dedicated his life to unraveling the mysteries of the universe, often losing himself in complex equations and theories. His colleagues admired his brilliance, but often found his aloof demeanor challenging to connect with. Ethan preferred the company of his books and research papers, finding solace in the predictability of numbers and scientific laws. Lila, on the other hand, was a whirlwind of energy and creativity. With her vibrant personality and infectious enthusiasm, she had a way of lighting up any room she entered. Lila approached her research with a sense of wonder, always eager to explore new ideas and push the boundaries of conventional thinking. Her eclectic fashion sense and spontaneous nature made her a beloved figure among her peers, though her unconventional methods sometimes baffled them. Their paths crossed frequently in the lab, but their interactions were limited to polite exchanges and professional discussions. Both respected each other's intellect and dedication, but there was a palpable distance between them, a gap defined by their contrasting personalities and working styles. Everything changed one fateful afternoon. Ethan and Lila were conducting a critical experiment, attempting to entangle two particles across a significant distance. The process was delicate, requiring precise synchronization and an immense amount of concentration. As they monitored the experiment from their respective stations, a sudden power surge caused the equipment to malfunction. A burst of energy filled the room, and both scientists were momentarily engulfed in a blinding light. When the light dissipated, Ethan and Lila found themselves unharmed but shaken. The experiment had been compromised, and the data was corrupted. Frustrated, they decided to call it a day and revisit their findings in the morning. Little did they know, that moment had set off a chain of events that would alter their lives forever. The next day, as Ethan was going through his morning routine, he experienced a sudden surge of joy, a feeling so intense and unexpected that it left him bewildered. Moments later, Lila, who was miles away in her apartment, felt an inexplicable wave of excitement wash over her. It was as if they were sharing the same emotion, despite being apart. Confused by the experience, both dismissed it as a strange coincidence. However, as the days went by, similar incidents continued to occur. When Ethan felt anxious about a presentation, Lila found herself inexplicably jittery at the same moment. When Lila laughed at a joke her friend told her, Ethan, alone in his office, felt a sudden burst of amusement. Puzzled and intrigued, they began to compare notes, realizing that their emotions were inexplicably linked. It was like their lives had become entangled, mirroring the very phenomenon they were studying. Determined to understand what was happening, Ethan and Lila decided to investigate further. They spent long hours in the lab, running tests and analyzing data, but no scientific explanation could account for their bizarre connection. As they delved deeper into the mystery, they also began to learn more about each other. Ethan discovered that Lila's exuberance masked a deep-seated fear of failure, stemming from a childhood where she constantly felt the need to prove herself. Lila learned that Ethan's stoicism was a defense mechanism, developed after a series of personal losses that left him wary of emotional attachment. Their newfound understanding brought them closer, dissolving the barriers that had once kept them apart. Despite their differences, they found solace in their shared experiences, their lives intertwined in ways neither could have imagined. The connection between them, though inexplicable, felt natural, almost predestined. One evening, as they were working late in the lab, the power surged again, causing the equipment to flicker. This time, instead of panic, there was a moment of clarity. Ethan and Lila locked eyes, and in that instant, they both knew they were connected by something far greater than science. The universe had woven their fates together, and their bond was a testament to the profound mysteries of existence. As they continued to navigate their entangled lives, Ethan and Lila grew more attuned to each other's emotions. They found comfort in their connection, realizing that it was a gift rather than a burden. The shared experiences brought them closer, forging a bond that transcended the physical realm. Their journey had only just begun, and the road ahead was filled with uncertainty. But for the first time, they faced the unknown with a sense of hope and unity. The quantum entanglement of love had woven their destinies together, and they were ready to embrace whatever challenges and discoveries lay ahead. As Ethan and Lila navigated their newfound connection, their professional relationship began to evolve into something deeper. The emotional bond they shared transcended the lab, seeping into their personal lives and creating an intimacy neither had anticipated. Ethan, who had always been reserved and cautious, found himself opening up to Lila in ways he never thought possible. He started sharing stories from his past, memories of his late parents, his struggles with grief, and the loneliness that had driven him to immerse himself in his work. Lila listened with genuine empathy, her vibrant spirit providing a soothing contrast to Ethan's somber reflections. Lila, too, began to reveal parts of herself she had kept hidden. She spoke about her childhood, the constant pressure to excel, and her fear of not being good enough. She shared her dreams and aspirations, her love for painting, and the creative pursuits she often neglected in favor of her scientific career. Ethan's calm presence and unwavering support gave her the confidence to embrace her vulnerabilities. Their emotional entanglement became a source of comfort and strength. They started spending more time together outside the lab, sharing meals, taking walks, and exploring the city. Each outing was an adventure, filled with laughter and lighthearted moments that brought them closer. One weekend, Lila invited Ethan to a local art gallery showcasing emerging artists. The invitation was spontaneous, reflecting Lila's free-spirited nature. Ethan, initially hesitant, agreed, curious to see the world through Lila's eyes. As they wandered through the gallery, Ethan was captivated by Lila's enthusiasm and the way she engaged with each piece of art. Her passion was infectious, and for the first time, Ethan felt a spark of interest in something outside his field. Lila, on the other hand, was fascinated by Ethan's analytical mind. She admired his ability to dissect complex problems and appreciated his meticulous attention to detail. Their conversations often veered into philosophical territory, exploring the intersections between science, art, and human experience. These discussions deepened their connection, highlighting the complementary nature of their personalities. As their bond grew stronger, so did the intensity of their entangled emotions. One evening, while they were watching a movie at Lila's apartment, Ethan felt a surge of warmth and contentment. He glanced at Lila and saw the same emotions reflected in her eyes. It was a moment of unspoken understanding, a realization that their connection was more than just a scientific anomaly. Their relationship took a significant turn during a conference in Paris. They had been invited to present their research on quantum entanglement, and the trip offered them a chance to explore the city of love together. Paris, with its enchanting streets and romantic ambiance, became the backdrop for their growing affection. They spent their days attending conference sessions and presenting their findings, but the evenings were reserved for exploring the city's charms. They strolled along the Seine, visited iconic landmarks, and dined at quaint bistros. Each experience was imbued with a sense of magic, the city itself seeming to conspire to bring them closer. One night, after a candle-lit dinner at a rooftop restaurant, Ethan and Lila found themselves standing on a balcony overlooking the Eiffel Tower. The city lights shimmered below them, and the air was filled with the soft murmur of Parisian nightlife. Ethan turned to Lila, his heart pounding with a mix of excitement and fear. In that moment, he realized he was falling in love with her. The connection they shared, the emotional entanglement that had initially baffled them, now felt like the most natural thing in the world. Lila, sensing Ethan's emotions, looked up at him with a mixture of curiosity and anticipation. Ethan took a deep breath, gathering his courage. He reached out and gently took Lila's hand, his touch sending a shiver of electricity through both of them. As their fingers intertwined, a sense of completeness washed over them, a feeling that they were meant to be together. Their eyes met, and the world seemed to fade away. In that moment, they knew that their bond was more than just a scientific phenomenon. It was a profound connection that transcended the physical realm, revealing the true power of love and the mysteries of the universe. As the Eiffel Tower sparkled in the distance, Ethan leaned in and pressed a gentle kiss on Lila's lips. It was a kiss filled with promise and the culmination of their shared journey. Lila responded with equal tenderness, her heart swelling with emotion. Their love had blossomed in the most unexpected way, nurtured by their shared experiences and the inexplicable bond that had brought them together. The quantum entanglement of love had woven their destinies together, creating a tapestry of emotions that neither could have foreseen. As they stood on that balcony wrapped in each other's embrace, Ethan and Lila knew that their journey was far from over. The road ahead would be filled with challenges and discoveries, but they were ready to face them together. Their love, like the universe itself, was a beautiful mystery, one that they were eager to explore, one quantum leap at a time. Life, however, is rarely as predictable as scientific equations, and the path of true love is often fraught with obstacles. Ethan and Lila's relationship faced its first major test when a prestigious university in California offered Lila a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to lead a groundbreaking research project. The offer was a clear recognition of her brilliance and dedication, but it came with a catch. She would have to relocate across the country. The news hit Ethan hard. He was proud of Lila's accomplishments and knew she deserved the recognition, but the thought of being separated from her was unbearable. Their connection had become an integral part of his life, and the prospect of losing that intimacy filled him with dread. Lila, too, was torn. She was excited about the opportunity, but couldn't bear the thought of leaving Ethan behind. They spent hours discussing their options, weighing the pros and cons of a long-distance relationship. The emotional entanglement that had once brought them so much joy now felt like a cruel twist of fate. Despite their best efforts to remain positive, the impending separation cast a shadow over their happiness. The day of Lila's departure arrived all too soon. Ethan accompanied her to the airport, his heart heavy with a mix of sadness and resignation. As they stood at the departure gate, they held each other close, savoring their last moments together. The connection between them was palpable, a silent reminder of the bond that had brought them together. As Lila boarded the plane, Ethan felt an overwhelming sense of loss. The physical distance between them was now a harsh reality, and he couldn't shake the feeling that a part of him was missing. Lila, too, felt the weight of their separation, her heart aching with each mile that took her further from Ethan. In the weeks that followed, they tried to maintain their relationship through phone calls, video chats, and frequent visits. But the distance took its toll. The emotional entanglement that had once been a source of comfort now became a source of pain as they struggled to bridge the gap between their lives. Ethan threw himself into his work, hoping to distract himself from the loneliness. He spent long hours in the lab, trying to replicate the conditions that had caused their initial entanglement. If he could understand the phenomenon, perhaps he could find a way to reconnect with Lila on a deeper level. But despite his best efforts, the answers remained elusive. Lila, too, found solace in her new project. She immersed herself in her research, earning accolades and recognition for her contributions. But the success felt hollow without Ethan by her side. She missed their late-night conversations, their shared laughter, and the sense of belonging that only he could provide. Months passed, and the strain of their separation began to show. Their conversations grew shorter, their visits less frequent. The connection between them, once so strong, now felt fragile and tenuous. They both sensed that something fundamental was slipping away, but neither knew how to stop it. The breaking point came one evening when Ethan received a prestigious award for his contributions to quantum physics. It was a moment of triumph, but the joy was overshadowed by Lila's absence. As he stood on the stage accepting the award, he realized that his success meant little without her to share it with. Later that night, Ethan made a decision. He couldn't let their love slip away without a fight. He booked a flight to California, determined to see Lila and salvage their relationship. As the plane soared through the sky, he felt a renewed sense of purpose. The quantum entanglement that had brought them together couldn't be undone by mere distance. Their bond was stronger than that. Meanwhile, Lila was at her lab, working late as usual. She had been feeling restless and distracted, her thoughts constantly drifting to Ethan. The emotional entanglement was still there, a faint but persistent reminder of their connection. She missed him more than ever and wondered if they could find a way back to each other. Ethan arrived at Lila's apartment in the early hours of the morning, his heart pounding with anticipation. He knocked on the door, hoping she would be home. When the door opened and he saw Lila standing there, all his doubts and fears melted away. The look of surprise and joy on her face was all he needed to know that he had made the right decision. They embraced tightly, the physical contact rekindling the connection they had been missing. Words were unnecessary. Their hearts spoke volumes. The emotional entanglement that had once been a source of pain now felt like a lifeline, pulling them back together. In the days that followed, Ethan and Lila took the time to reconnect and rebuild their relationship. They talked openly about their fears and insecurities, finding strength in their shared vulnerability. They realized that their bond was not just a scientific anomaly, but a profound expression of their love. Lila decided to transfer her research project back to Boston, where she could work alongside Ethan. The move was a clear demonstration of their commitment to each other, a recognition that their love was worth any sacrifice. The emotional entanglement that had once seemed like a burden was now a source of joy and strength. As they stood together in the lab, ready to embark on their next scientific adventure, they knew that their love had defied the odds. The quantum entanglement of love had woven their destinies together, creating a tapestry of emotions that was as beautiful as it was mysterious. Together, they were ready to face whatever challenges and discoveries lay ahead, their hearts forever entwined in the most extraordinary of ways. Thank you so much for listening to this short, romantic audiobook. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe to Love Stories Unplugged.